You're on.
All right, Bob. Bob's not here right now. Oh, there he is. Bob, how you doing?
Now,
Happy
we need more
Thanksgiving.
volume, right?
I get it up.
Can you hear me,
Say
Bob?
hi.
Hey, Jack.
What's up, Bob? How you doing?
Great. There's Jumping Jacks. There's Ellen Whitley.
Happy Thanksgiving, Bob. What did you do yesterday? Anything interesting?
No, I don't celebrate anything. But I did do something.
What'd you do?
So let's make him louder.
Can't.
I don't wear headphones, right?
No, just listen louder.
Can you hear me,
Okay,
Bob?
so
Yeah.
what we did, Jack, we went to our farm,
Okay,
which
what's the
is going to
farm?
make this new miraculous products from our MASH fertilizer.
Okay. And what is this product? What is this product going to do?
Mighty Mash.
It's called Mighty Mash, and it'll fertilize the world.
His dad has some.
Your father has some.
Got it. Yeah, I know. So it's funny, you know, I remember you guys showed me last year, I went to the farm and you showed me a radish that you guys used, you know, regular fertilizer, and you used the Mighty Mash and used the same amount of time. And it was crazy how much more the Mighty Mash fertilizer allowed growth for the, you know, for the veggies. And one of the things that I saw that it kept away all the pesticides and all the insects from halting the growth, and which allowed it to sprout faster and more healthy. So that's the next product that you guys have coming on the line of, you know, these aren't actually complement products for the body, but these are products for people to grow their own food.
Yeah, the radishes, our fertilized radishes created 85 pounds. The nowhere radishes that they didn't have any kind of support, they made 3 pounds.
Yeah.
So 85 pounds to 3 pounds. And what's the other factor?
No weeds.
Yeah, no weeds.
No weeds. Yeah.
No bugs. Oh yeah, the bugs are attracted to weak things that are not doing well. So they just swarm on the dying plants and they avoid ours. So we had these shiny radishes that were pristine and sovereign in themselves, and were quite, you know, good sized.
Hey, Dickie, your brother just came in. Dickie Dobbs, how you doing? So Bob, you know.
I know. So Jack, one more sentence. On Carolyn's website, Dr. Dr. Carolyn Dean Live, you can see the video of the garden, right, Carol?
Yeah, it's a webinar I did, the RNA drops.
A webinar called RNA Drops. Somewhere in the first third of it, there's the 20-minute documentary or whatever it is, 18 minutes, video embedded into the RNA Drops webinar.
So all the people here, I'll put that on my Instagram story. So if you guys want to click up and link and check out the video, check it out on my story after we get off this live.
Yeah, it's
Bob,
RNA. Hey, it's RNA Reset.
RNAreset.com.
Well, what about Dr. Dean Live?
What's up, Dickie Dobbs?
Just my books and
it's not on there.
Right.
Yeah, you got to go to RNAreset.com, not Dr. Dean Live.
Okay, RNAreset.com. Okay. And I will
go ahead,
put
Jack.
the link. I'll put the link in my story so people can click on it after we get off this live.
Right.
Your camera's facing down right now. I see the glass table.
Carolyn's changing the props.
Okay, got it.
The secret stuff have to be out of the visual line.
Oh yeah, you can't let people see the secret stuff. Dickie Dobbs, how was your Thanksgiving, Dickie Dobbs? Oh, Bob, you got on different shoes today. I never saw those before. Usually wear like the different
shoes.
Yeah, or sandals or whatever those are.
Oh, those are my home slippers.
Oh, home slippers. Got it.
That's what I wear inside. They never go outside. They don't touch the outer world.
Oh, they only stay inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe a little higher, back a bit. No, that's all right. Like that, I think. Okay. Now, Carolyn, I think there's too much showing in the. Do you want your chair showing? Snipers could get that.
Carolyn, that's your massage chair?
Yeah. You move over.
Well, my head.
See, Jack, he won't come down from his previous lecture for me to set him up.
Oh, so you have to like fix it up the right way and all that.
I have other
you look good though now, Bob. You look fine.
No, I'm not going over there. That's worse. No. Get rid of that. Quick. Hide that. Turn that around. My head. Oh, but they'll just see your chair then. Okay.
See you, Jack.
She's going.
Bye,
now.
Carolyn. So, Bob, One of the interesting things that you just said is that with the remag, it keeps away the weak plants or whatever. And something with the complement formulas.
The remag makes the plants and vegetables strong, so the insects are not attracted to strong plants. They go for weak plants, sick plants.
So my question to you was, there's a correlation with the plants and also the complement formulas, with the remag, with the RNA drops, with the remite, it helps the body become strong. So now when it comes down with sickness and things like that, your body is strong and ready to absorb what's happening in society. So I think there's a great correlation with the Remash and the complement product that you guys have that, it really helps the body become strong to be able to fight off, a lot of things that's happening in the free world that we live in right now.
Yeah, so, we don't make any claims, can't make any claims. You can say it's a supplement and helps your magnesium deficiency. You can say statements like that, but you can't say you treat any diseases. But I would highly recommend the 7 billion people on the planet to use our products for any coming viruses.
Got it. Okay. So Bob, I want to talk to you today. Recently I've seen a huge show or huge documentary on Netflix about like this thing they call big tech. You're seeing it a lot in today's, news,
social dilemma.
Social dilemma. Yeah. But you're saying a lot about this big tech. And I know there's tons of parts of this big tech infrastructure, but one of the things inside of big tech that I want to begin with is Instagram and social media, right? Instagram and social media has been created, and it's a way for people to be famous. You could be whatever you want. You could put on there whatever you want. You can live a life that you want to live, right? But then the downside of that you see a lot of people become addicted to this social media thing. You have to keep up and make sure you post this and post that. What is that positioning? What is the problem in between people engaging in this social media thing and then becoming almost obsessed with it? Is it like, what is the obsession with the tech body or the big tech that everybody's talking about? Sorry about that.
How'd you know that was coming on?
No, I didn't. I pushed it by accident.
Oh, okay.
I was moving a cord and pushed it.
So I have my 5-bodied model. So what we call the physical body, I call the chemical body, because the mapping of it has been dominated by Western science for 150 years. People 150 years ago, like Claude Bernard, discovered the interior landscape of our bodies. And then microscopes added to that. So that when you go to a doctor, he only knows chemical body knowledge and very, very limited compared to what we can know with health knowledge from other cultures that aren't based on Western medicine. Acupuncture, herbs and things. So the second body is the astral body, and every culture believes that there's more than the physical, more than what you see. Not everybody in the culture believes that with that idea or dogma or religion or shamanic tradition, but it is part of every culture. So you got your chemical body, which is Western science controlled imagery of what you are, your physicality. And they don't include till recently, they don't include the astral body knowledge in that chemical body knowledge model. So then you got the TV environment that came in the mid 50s, that dominated as a huge environment. But once we got into the digital phase, it shrunk the TV landscape to your TV body. So a little organ became part of your chemical body, but it was added to the chemical body. So a new lung was added, say, or a new kidney. We call that the TV body. Then came the chip landscape that was shrinking the TV landscape into a TV body. That landscape, the chip computer digital landscape, and for most people that began in the mid 90s when they could get on the internet. And then that would be called World Wide Web number one. What was it called? Web 1.0.
Web 1.0.
And then social media comes in 2007, 8, 9, and that took the general landscape of the chip and computer, digital, early technology, early internet, and personalized it, shrunk it down so everybody had the whole internet in their pocket, in their
So Bob,
hand.
I don't want to cut you off, but I want to go back just so we can have people on topic. When you talked about when Web 1.0 came in, it was something brand new to everybody. Like you never knew that you can go on the internet and put in www. So basically what that is, you broke it down like it's, you almost, as a human, you get this new organ in your body. You know,
Not yet. It's
not
first
yet.
a landscape. It's
Okay.
Any new medium. Print was a landscape for 500 years. It didn't get shrunk until the digital.
Mm-hmm. When you mean shrunk, what do you mean by it became shrunk? Like it's no more valid because something else came and ate it up almost? What do you mean by that?
Yes, if you look at print, you had to go to the library and get the books. And then with movies, you had to go to the theater to see the movie. You had to stay home to listen to the radio. Then TV, you had to stay home. That's in the 50s and 60s. So these are huge environments. We call them media. Singular is medium, but huge plural medium becomes media. These media environments constricted the movement of the chemical body.
When you constricted the movement of the chemical body, you mean our physical body that I'm here in my legs. Check out my shoes, y'all. These are Sean Weatherspoon Nikes. When I engage and when you engage in these new worlds of Web 1.0 and tech body, it kind of changes this body of me. It changes my chemical body. Is that what you're saying?
Well, you're jumping a little bit. We'll say the chemical body had a new experience with radio and movie. They were phenomenal experiences that the chemical body didn't provide. You couldn't listen to everybody or somebody broadcasting from New York City, and many people around the world could pick it up by shortwave radio or regular radios, depending on how powerful they were starting in the 20s. So that was a whole new landscape added to your body. Not so much a organ or like a lung or a kidney. That happens with the digitization of the radio environment. So therefore you can travel anywhere and still hear the radio station. You couldn't do that once you left your home. But in the 60s, the first stage of it was transistor radio. You could walk around with it, but you could only get your local radio. So unless you did shortwave. So it limited the range of what your body could do with that new landscape surrounding you compared to the mobility we have today. So how do we get to that mobility? And the mobility was the digital environment that for most people comes in 2006, 2007 with the mobile phone. And then
shout out Joe Ingles. Shout out my friend Joe Ingles. My friend Joe Ingles, he plays in the NBA, Utah Jazz, great friend of mine. I wanted to say hello to him. Shout out. Okay, so keep going what you were saying.
So Web 2.0, social media, what's called social media, allowed people to walk around and be anywhere and have access to all kinds of internet, goodies. And it's a tiny little environment. It's smaller than your smartphone. So it becomes a new organ added to you. The landscape surrounds you and limits your use of it. Just think of simple mobility. You can't leave your home if you want to listen to radio. So, but 100 years later, you can go anywhere and you have access to all previous landscapes, which under the chip environment, the chip landscape were all shrunk. So people started to get movies on their smartphone and newspapers and books, everything. What was previously analog media, pre-digital, say the first 2/3 of the 20th century, maybe even first 80% of the 20th century. So now we're fully in the 21st century, and we have a chip body, and we have our chemical body, an astral body, and a TV body. The TV body is where you sit back and passively watch Netflix film or something. The chip body is interactive. You can participate and quibble about all kinds of things, and people see your messaging instantly and they respond. So that was a new interactivity, which I call tactility. It's like touch. You touch somebody, then you let go, then they respond. And then you touch in response, and then you email them, that's making contact, and then you watch what happens, or you email someone else. So it's touch and go, touch and remove. That interplay, not the contact, that's kinetic pressure. But kinetic pressure and then letting go into the void, and then back, which creates rhythm. That's tactility. And that's a new dimension that's been extended to a huge scale and added to everybody's body that no culture ever provided before. Unless you got into the mystical tradition, what I call the mystery landscape, and learned how to astral project or to travel to parallel worlds, all those skills that were latent in our chemical body.
Got it.
So
got it.
you have now, even if you can go to parallel worlds and all that, you cannot get the variety that you get with your black mirror and your chip body or your smartphone. You are getting input that's going into your brain, 24/7, no matter how much you're eating or sleeping. You can spend a lot of time absorbing. Now, I'm looking out at the Maui Bay. It's a wonderful scene, but I just need to go to you, and then I got a person I'm interacting with. Or if I'm scanning all the imagery, I can quickly go all around the top beaches in the world, in 2 minutes on this thing. My mind sees enhanced imagery that normal chemical body purview doesn't provide. I'm stuck with this boring, wonderful paradise scene, but that's all I'm getting. So since the brain, and it's just like taking ayahuasca or drugs, even heroin, your brain is super stimulated. Now we have it technologically, and that's more fun for people who have nowhere lives, empty lives, or just normal boredom lives, which most people have. You can erase that boredom by constantly getting stimulated. You'll go through periods of familiar imagery that you know, and then you'll find other imagery. That it's like having someone stand by you and is an amazing talker, and they'll always tell you stories. It's a great, like, coffee shop companion, but it's got all the senses there. So this is hugely, quote, addictive. It's not, we should not call it addictive. It's just a great drug you can get on, and what's wrong with it? Well, it does interrupt the old chemical body world and its institutions. So during COVID, you had lockdown. A lot of people, apparently, the tech body out there, the environment that's talking to us today, which is a development past the chip landscape and past the chip body. That's what we're going to get to, the tech body. But go back a step. What was I saying? You get this constant stimulation, and
it's almost like you said. Okay,
no, I got it. So the COVID, what they reported after a few months was that obesity rose. More and more people got fat. Well, it's because they couldn't go out with lockdown. But they could sit there all day and munch on their snacks or whatever and get stimulated on the drug of the chip body, on the endless excitement of it. So even a lot of discussion shows, smart people talking, like, say, Joe Rogan. It's not real smart, but for most people, he has interesting characters on. You could have hours watching his archive, and it's sort of educational. It's not just a stupid sitcom or something. So people are being educated, but the overriding experience of the medium in itself, its general form, is it's going to give you endless conversation, endless stimulation. And so you forget your chemical body. So you get, over time, a little unhealthy because you're spending too much engaging it. But with lockdown, you were forced to really stay home and engage it. So people became overweight. So that's a disservice. You really got to become an expert on your physical chemical body's health systems to bounce off the excessive use of your chip body. So my point is, we're juggling bodies, but they're not big bodies. It's just a little barnacle on you, or it's that large your chip body is invisible. You can't visualize it.
Yeah.
So that's why everybody is distracted. And some people say, well, it's really great under this horrible chemical body lockdown that we have the chip body that everybody, like we're doing, communicating on. But in light of all the previous institutions that were developed by the chemical body, and that goes back to ancient tribal rituals, Paleolithic caveman, all the history of what the chemical body did for pastimes is disturbed, is disrupted. And so you have people running around today saying that Trump is enhancing democracy and other people's, half the population saying he's a fascist and he's stopping democracy. But what the heck is democracy? That was a literate situation that came in with the printing press, where people could vote on an issue that they heard about through letters and maybe some newspaper articles, a very slow process. You read, you get informed, and you had to be a landowner, 200 years ago to be able to vote. And you would send in this
oh, wait, you had to be a landowner to be able to vote. So you're saying, so basically put a system together. If you ain't got land, you ain't voting no matter what.
Yeah,
so
the fathers, the famous fathers of America were all landowners. And if you weren't, you couldn't vote. And women weren't allowed to vote. So this slow process where everybody could share in the issue presented in the legislature and state their opinion, pro or con, that was quite participatory compared to previous kingdoms or societies under kings and monarchs, or barons or military dictatorships like in Rome. This was a new thing where a lot of people who didn't have any physical power weren't really skilled on being talkers. Most of politics for 3,000 years was based on good talkers. That was called the art of rhetoric. So here was people, regardless of who you were, if you got the land owning, you could participate. And you'd vote over issues that 200 years ago and even 50 or 80 years ago were slow, and people could handle them and make a decision and then move the machines around to implement whatever was going. And also public education came in a couple hundred years ago with that. The average person could learn to read. That was a big change for people. Then once you get to the 20th century and all this amazing invisible technology, electric technology, you don't know what electricity is. It just allows you to hear voices from 10,000 miles away. So that created new industries, new services, new jobs. So that changed the economy. Let's see. So if you look at the 20s and 30s and say radio caused a new kind of economy, but the older chemical body, slower democratic writing letters to the editor or letters between people couldn't keep up with the speed of economic transaction or accounting that radio brought in. So by 1929, the accountants gave up. They couldn't record the incredible wealth that the radio was causing in personal experience. Just being able to hear music on the radio, that's wealth. If you didn't have a radio, you had to rely on some folk singer to come by and play some instruments.
To let you know what's going on.
What?
Yeah. So you had to rely on someone else to allow you to hear something and let you know what's going on if you didn't have a radio. Yeah.
Right. Or you went to the opera or a classical symphony. So when radio created a new participation among the literate voters. Now they listened to guys who could talk well, like Hitler or FDR or Mao Zedong or Mussolini. And so this was called fascism or Stalin's communism. It was a hive mind that began because everybody was simultaneously experiencing the radio experience. So that caused a big war.
Because everybody had access to the radio, like everybody had access to it. So now everybody has this thing that at one point everyone didn't have. So that caused an effect. And the effect of everybody having access to this radio, you're saying the after effect of that was a war.
Well, a war, but it created a new, we'll call it a hive mind, to use a new term, but it created a re-tribalization of society in the West mainly. And this group mind took over, and the war became fascists against communists, against capitalists, against anarchists, and anybody else. So they weren't doing literate issues. If you go back and look at newspapers in the 19th century, the newspaper was made up of long sermons and essays or speeches that people gave in Parliament or the legislature in Congress. No one would have time to read all that today, but it was slower back then, so they had time to read it. But the reading environment was faster than the manuscript feudal environment, where you had to travel to get a manuscript. Now you get books coming to you. So it speeds up the reading thing, but reading is real slow compared to hearing and watching on TV. So politics changed. Old literate journalists and great speakers, by the 60s, they didn't like politics. They thought it become stupid people responding too quickly to issues, not thinking, not reading about it. So this more instant mob rule, we'll call it. But actually, if democracy is including the participation of people, even though they're different media, more people are participating faster and influencing the decisions of the election. So that speeded up from radio and TV and in the digital media. And then in the digital media, you actually can broadcast your own opinion with social media. And you could interact with lots of people, create little cults, little groups. In other words, more participation. So the world has, my point is, Jack, the world has gotten more democratic beyond the categories of fascism, socialism, and communism, and anarchism. This is what people don't understand, and the politicians are guilty of not defining the world our technology has created and how it reflects the old stupid categories of left, right, and that. So we're hugely democratic today, way beyond anybody who had a literate version of technology, a literate version of democracy. So this is where we live today. Now, is anybody agreeing with me there? Let's see. Type something. Do you get it?
Does anybody have any questions about what Bob said? I hope our brother Dickie Dobbs is on here. Dickie Dobbs, you got any questions about what Bob just talked about? I think you would have a good insight on that. You know, any questions right now? We're going to stop for a little bit to get some questions on what we just spoke about in the first segment of the podcast. Let's see if anybody has any questions.
Dylan joined. Dylan Gonzalez joined. He hasn't anything to say yet. Okay.
Dylan Gonzalez, ask a question. The hearts is coming.
Look at the hearts. That's imagery.
Dick Dobbs is here. Dick Dobbs, can you please ask Bob a question, or do you have any questions about what he just spoke about?
He asked one. He goes, "What's up?" Okay, let's just deal with that. What's up? Because the information overload that we live 24/7, new trendings, new issues by all kinds of different media. What's the new movie? Zappa has a great documentary just released today. Everybody should see the documentary, The Greatest Composer in History, Frank Zappa. There's many things they're telling you to engage in. Huge democracy. And you have to figure out which one you're going to focus on. So you're always looking at what's up, what's coming into your awareness. That is your main activity, deciding which part of the super democracy of participation on many media, many levels, which part you're going to slot into. Which medium, which issue, which entertainment. And so there's no accurate description of what leadership is today, what Trump is. Now, Trump's, if people think he's different because he uses Twitter, he just took the latest technology and changed politics. One guy changed the whole temper. And then all around the world with different cultures at different levels of technological digital sophistication are responding to that and becoming a Trumpism or replaying or trying to do what they thought he did. And meanwhile, for 4 years, he was a dominant figure. And more technology is coming in, more ability for people to get pissed off, more ability to gather and protest and complain about Black lives or something. That sped up. So 2020 had a different tone in the election than 2016. If you go back and look at Hillary Clinton's speech when she opened her campaign in 2015, it is so slow and ridiculous compared to what politicians have to do this past few months, you know? So it's real simple to understand that the temper, speed, and pace of society, this is all you need to know for social understanding, is totally influenced by whatever new technology is happening, and it changes in terms of the debate. And what you remember is people can't keep up, and they keep talking about the new situation in the old terms. That makes you smart if you know how to look around and your people are telling you to vote for this guy or that person or that woman, all this shit. And you say, well, what am I voting for? Well, this guy, if you don't vote for him, we're going to go fascist. You say, no, we're not fascist. That's a radio environment. We got more, we're worse than fascism. The degree of addiction and involvement in the Democratic chip body compared to previous societies, peoples are zombies.
Yeah,
people
Bob,
are nothing.
I want to speak on that, right? Because you said fascism. And I was just thinking the other day, right?
Dick Dobbs agrees. He says, there you go.
On point. And it's so funny being an African American, living in the world.
You're not an African American.
I know, but Bob, let me finish what I'm about to say though. Let me hear me out first. Being an African American, right, in today's world, it's almost like
there's Sue Bone.
So
There's
check
no
this out,
past in the now. Well, there's not even a
Bob.
now, Sue.
Bob.
There's
Bob.
not even a now that you could measure. Go ahead.
Bob, the thing is now is that if someone came to me right now, a random person, and asked me who I voted for, and I'm going to pretend as if I could vote for multiple things. If someone comes to me and they go to me, hey, who'd you vote for? And I say, man, I didn't vote. They're automatically going to say, man, how come you ain't vote? You should have put a vote in to go against, what's happening in the world. You should have gone against Trump. Okay, if someone comes to me and I say, yo, I voted for Trump, they'll be like, man, you racist. How can you do that? And it almost seems like if you don't vote for Biden, it's almost like you did the wrong thing. And I don't really get into the political thing of all these things, but it's really weird that now living in society, more of a black man, if you start making certain decisions and if you use the tech bio to talk about it, people will automatically judge you based off of your decision. And never have we ever lived in a world where if you voted for one person or another person, you will be judged based on your vote. So is that the fact that there's so much information now that's coming so fast that can maybe make you change your decision with the blink of a second? Because anybody can say anything on social media. Anybody could write anything. Tell me about how it almost seems like a little bit of communism. If you make a decision and you say something, you're automatically judged on it. Like, how can people live in a world where you're judged based off of a decision of something that you wear or a vote that you make or something that you believe in, or if your girlfriend is a different race than you? It almost seems like we're so fucked up in a society where it's hard for an individual to be themselves, because if you're yourself, you're going to be judged by others. So it almost seems like... Okay, go ahead.
We're going to talk about this technically. I'll say terms that have definitions, and it's better to talk about that way than any kind of emotional level that you were talking. So in the 19th century and 18th century, when democracy came in because of the printing press and landowners had literate votes, it was a very serious time, and what you voted could cause a local war in your village. The decisions around slower movement of resources that Congress was in charge of, and you're sending a representative to be part of that, were slow, but everybody relied on them. So it was more dangerous for the physical body to talk about how they voted. So nobody talked about religion or politics in polite society, bourgeois, middle class society. You did not tell anybody how you voted because it could get you killed. Now that's 200, 100 more years ago. Then you bring in live radio and TV, and that makes the population, quote, passive politically. They're just receiving these iconic figures like Hitler, Stalin, FDR, Churchill, and they're emotionally responding to whether they're for what they're about or someone who pretends they're the opposite, who's eloquent from an opposite point of view. So you can look at most of the 20th century, people are passive. And nobody knew who you voted for, and you could talk about it. It didn't matter. Politics was slowly becoming a minor industry in society as people got new jobs caused by radio, TV, and computerization, all kinds of new services. They used to say by the 60s that we were moving into a service-oriented economy, post-industrial. That meant post-hardware machines from the 19th century. So it made a new kind of passivity politically, literate stuff like writing votes, but women were liberated to engage in all kinds of new jobs. Everybody, young people created a music industry, much more democratic participation by all levels of the society in this analog electric society of most of the 20th century. Then you bring in the digital, which then makes everybody be their own little astronaut, and floating over all the old media environments, all the older kinds of democracy, with a newer democracy of more information, more access to everything, and more other astronauts, diginauts, who are mingling and floating around with you, and you're bumping into them. So you can see what became the culture wars in the 90s and into the 2000s. The culture wars were people taking their obsolete chemical body and making a big deal about what class they were, what gender they were, what race they were, because nobody could define the immense democracy of floating around having endless information 24/7, an orgy of experience for your brains. Okay. And then every 4 years they say, well, let's try to remember law and order. So we're going to have an election. We're going to make your chemical body a big issue, and what you think of taxes and all these old industrial mechanisms, which nobody understands under chip landscape, chip technology conditions. I mean, nobody knows where the money's going, and people are learning how to hack companies and steal millions. I'm in a wonderful, what do they call it, garden community or gated community. Here. There's a lot of people living here who got a lot of money. I assume that 90% of them are criminals and stole the money. I'm not against them for that, but that's how much, since the 90s, digital savvy people were able to rip off their own jobs, their own corporations through computers that other people didn't understand, didn't know anything about.
So Bob, check this out. So now it's funny you bring that up, right? Because, you know, we live in a world now where someone could post a photo and someone could buy 1 million followers, and you could think that they're rich, right? And at the end of the day, they don't have nothing. It's just all fugazi and facade. But this social media landscape that we live in, we use it to validate our position on things,
our
right? So now,
body.
Our chemical body. So everybody, when Bob says chemical body, he means physical body. He's talking about our real body. So my thing is this, Bob, you're talking about now.
I'm talking about how it's irrelevant in the decision-making of society. Look at how many airplanes, before lockdown, were flying all over the world, and you might get one crash every 6 months or something. That's an incredible skill that's happening, that humans are coordinating this environment of planes flying all over the planet, and they're not bumping into each other. That's genius and human behavior. That's a huge service that the airplane world, the Wright brothers invent the airplane. 100 years later, it's an incredible scenario. And that's what you should celebrate. That increasing democracy, increasingly smarter people who have mathematical skills, accounting skills, or visual perceptual skills, and they run the air traffic controller tower. More and more people can get those jobs, and more skillful people get the jobs. So everybody is being, as McLuhan once said, Marshall McLuhan, the greatest wealth that ever was produced by emperors and kingdoms is nothing. Yeah. It's less than a person on welfare today that we get relatively inexpensively. Yeah. People fly into Maui, the rates are low. It used to be very expensive. The hotels are expensive, but they can come here. So there's a lot of, I can tell, working class people who never did much, but now can come to paradise. And that's been going on for 30 years. The point is the services we have are so shared by so many people, you might as well call them communism. Communism where everybody shares the services of the technology. So we live in an incredible hardware communism and an incredible software communism. And the first country to become communist was the United States in technologically after World War II, the wealth of the 50s. America then, made even more wealth by selling it to the rest of the world. So America in the 50s, when Joseph McCarthy was saying, if you were ideologically anywhere near a communist, we'd put you in jail. We'd exile you from society. But around Joe McCarthy in the 50s was the most communistic environment. See, so when you start talking about what's going on in chemical body, obsolete physical body terms, you're stupid. You don't get the right terms and the right perception of what's happening. And so to talk about black lives or white lives or slavery or anything, imperialism is not relevant to where we live. You must imagine that you live in the most utopic, advanced, engaged, participatory, evil, sinful, pleasurable, be a monk, go live at the top of the Mount Everest, with your cell phone. All these things are beyond any previous written book about what human utopia would be. Now, there's not just that. There's all kinds of new crazy dystopia or problems for the older media. Like right today, they're going to not be able to decide who the president is, but society is told by the tech body and newspapers that they need to have a president. Why would we need a president? Why do we even need Congress? What are they doing other than taxing you? And everybody is so free and autonomous now, digitally, they're not paying their taxes. They're refusing to pay their taxes. So Congress, get over it. Yet people think you got to have money, taxes to cover for education or whatever services of the old hardware stuff. The old chemical body activities have to be supported by government funds. You do probably have to do that because people don't understand that they live in a total free society. If everybody refused to go to work, society would, the leaders, the intelligence agencies, they wouldn't be able to do anything about it. And everybody, ideally, 15, 20 years ago, when it was Web 1.0, everybody, it was shorter, smaller, everybody could team up. But you can't team up in the software utopia today where everybody's got their own broadcasting network, like we're doing here. We're broadcasting. Yeah. And so it's very fragmented. So you can't really organize people to take over and say, everybody agree, don't go to work tomorrow. We could do that, but people are actually in so many different media worlds, Miles will say they're in other galaxies, that nobody can get anything organized. So you have a situation where 1/3 of the American population votes and they run Congress, whoever wins that. And 2/3 of society ignored the voting because they're involved democratically in all kinds of jobs. They can shift from one job to the next every month. That's a whole mobile society that's not controlled by Congress. So if you're a super smart person like me, you wouldn't have voted. I've never voted. I'm not going to waste my time. They're like specialist subcultures, politics. The corporations, their environments are huge all around the world. There's where you live in a totalitarian environment. In your job that you love having and you get paid and you buy all the stuff and you come to Maui because you're in a fascist environment called a fucking job and a corporation, AT&T, ITT, software companies, General Motors. Our terms are wrong unless you use my five-body model. My five-body model is the most important sociological pattern for the citizen to understand. It's more important than the alphabet today. And once you get this simple thing I'm proposing, you don't have to be a rocket scientist, you understand what all the noise is about and how the noise is not accurate, even though it's in English and you can understand it.
So, Bob, okay. I want to talk about something a long time ago. You talked about McClinton, and you're talking about the noise. And McClinton
no, a real live motherfucker. Somebody goes, a real live motherfucker. That's right. I'm the most alive person on the planet. No, because I understand what's going on.
Yeah. McClinton used to once say that, back in the, in the war and stuff, the media used to use itself as like propaganda. Back when there was wars and stuff, McClinton used to say that the media was almost propaganda.
There's still lots of wars. Physical, chemical body wars all over Africa, South America, death squads. There's all kinds of violence. So let's state your terms, your question.
My term is in understanding media and the extensions of man. There was a insert that McClinton talked about how back in the days, I don't know, I can't remember what year, maybe the 50s and whatever, there was a war and the media was used to manipulate the soldiers with the information that they were getting fed through the media. And just now you just said, like, we don't know what the media is telling us. Like, the media says that a president won, but then really they're still counting the votes. So it's like we have this over influx of information and like people are here, he won, he got this, he got that. But like, we don't know what is going on right now. And it seems like people,
Hold it. Let's go back to what you're quoting. Understanding media 50 years ago, 55 years ago, 1964. He explained World War I and World War II, where whole countries would put on a uniform and go against another big country with a lot of people in uniform. And the uniformity for the chemical body by the weapons and the uniforms they had, that's what collided. And yet the uniformity helped people every 10, 15 years to feel united on the chemical body level. You see, even though you're discarnate and disembodied with the radio environment in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, you're still feeling your chemical body. It's still hankering there. It's like phantom pain. Remember me. You chop your leg off and you'll have phantom pain for a while. So you have the phantom pain of the chemical body, and every now and then they want to assert themselves. So they go to war. And they all get together and have the same uniform, and they can see the uniformity of the physical body. So that's what McClinton said. Actually, wars were good for two reasons. They taught the loser countries that couldn't come up against the technology of Europe or the United States. We had more technology, so we could win in South America, Southeast Asia, Africa. But those cultures then would get the benefits of our new technology. As we took over them as imperialists, we colonized them, and they got to experience movies. And so a famous dictator of Sukarno, I think it is, in Indonesia in the 60s, he went and spoke to Hollywood executives. He said, I want to congratulate you guys. You're the greatest revolutionaries in history. You bring your movies to my little stupid villages, my shitholes, as Trump says, in Asia, and they get to see movies and normal people living in amazing, luxurious chemical, mechanical environments with refrigerators and all these things.
Yeah.
And they say, I want to have those because they can see them. If they read about it, it wouldn't mean anything. So here's Hollywood, disguised very respectable, like Cary Grant, John Wayne, people who uphold American values, who are actually terrorists as far as other cultures who are a bit behind can object to, because as we see in the Middle East, the Arab cultures, quite far behind us in terms of modern technology 60 years ago, they objected, at least their royalty or their leaders or their tribes objected to this disruption of our technologies entering their technology. So when we give technologies to people pre-war, during war, or after war, that's education. So war is a great education. You know, democracy, we're spreading democracy is what George Bush used to say. Well, what that means is you're allowing people to have new technologies and become non-Arabs, non-Africans, non-blacks, non-Chinese, non-Hindus, because once you're with the telephone and once you're with these amazing technologies today, your chemical body is minor. Okay, so that's one thing. So war is education. War is also technological change, speeded up, accelerating of technological evolution. So you can make a whole case of how great war is. And so somebody in the early 60s made a movie. I think it featured Peter Sellers. It's called The Mouse That Roared. And a dictator, like a new one, like Castro, he says, okay, we're an agricultural society. I've taken over, but we got nothing compared to New York State or anywhere in the United States. So I'm going to declare war on the United States so that they'll come take us over and give us the technology as slaves of the technology. And people want it. See, slavery is not even a good term. So, so that movie showed the humor of that, The Mouse That Roared. And so it showed the satire. Castro says, okay, who's the enemy of the United States? He looks around, reads a newspaper. He gets a newspaper. Send me a newspaper. And he reads it. Oh, something called the Soviet Union. The Americans don't like Soviet Union. Call the Soviet Union. Tell them we're on their side so that Dwight Eisenhower will invade me. See, look at, this is beyond democracy, slavery, imperialism, poverty. All these things of chemical body issues do not relate to anything over the last 100 years of importance and where people live. And that's a fact everybody has to be taught in grade 3, say. They got to be told these terms. Well, they don't even need to go to school and be in grade 3. Just get them all. I'll take all the population of the United States, all the kids under 10 years old, put them on Zoom, and I'll lecture them for a couple of weeks, and they'll get it. All right?
They'll get it.
And they'll start saying, Mom, you're not my parents. My parents is this thing. My cell phone. That's my parent, not you. What do you say, Mom? I'll let you be my parent. I'll listen to you if you give me, say, $10,000 a week. And then kids, and there was a movement in the 70s called children's liberation, because being a child was puny compared to the global theater of media that was happening in the 70s. You couldn't be a child anymore. And McClinton said everybody was at the emotional level of a 4-year-old, you know, a 9-year-old had the emotions of a 4-year-old because they were so illiterate about the actual media environment they lived in.
That were living in, exactly.
And so McClinton taught this all over the media. He became quite famous. And politicians and respectable members of the establishment, rich people, they all tried to get rid of McClinton. He was saying what was happening, and all business is based on not knowing what's happening and celebrating something from the past, some old chemical body operation. See? So that's why I'm a live fucker. I'm continuing McClinton's revolution.
You are. Bob, you are. You know so much. And now that we're getting into that, I want to kind of switch lanes and switch subjects.
So do you see, your question was, what do I, as a voter, how do I handle the problems if I tell people who I voted for? And millions of people didn't tell anybody.
They didn't tell anybody.
They didn't even have their Trump signs up, but millions of people did vote. And this new advancement in software called Dominion software, it looks like it hijacked the whole election process around the world. And now we're going to see how far Trump gets with that. And there's a good chance he's going to remain president because he can cancel the election based on this new technology nobody admitted was being used. See, there's a revolution the Dominion company did. And what did the Dominion?
So what is this new technology, Bob?
They get called out in the
What
news.
is this new
And
technology
they
you're talking about?
dismantle their offices and disappear like terrorists. Okay, what'd you say?
What is this new technology you said Dominion that they found that was counting the votes? What is this? What is this that you're speaking about?
Well, it's a way of linking in onto the internet from your little voting station where you're counting the ballots, and to watch and find out what's going on in other voting stations, and then coordinate statistically, digitally, a bunch of votes, and then take them like your computer screen and move them over and put them there. A whole 600,000 votes. We're going to put them over in Biden's box, or we're going to take some out of Biden and put them into Trump's box. Digitally shifting. I'm not an expert on the actual technology, how they do it, but we're learning about it through Sidney Powell's press conference today. I assume she's in the courts. I don't know if she's on being interviewed, but she put her stuff objecting to all this Wednesday night. This one person who was on Trump's legal team, and then when you could say Trump wanted to get some attention, he said, "Oh, we fired her from the legal team," but she wasn't a member of it. And it didn't matter.
Oh, so she was never a member of the legal team.
No, she said she never got paid. She was just a volunteer, and she never signed anything.
Oh, so Trump goes, "We fired her," and it made news. But
well, he said a couple of weeks ago that she was on the team. He probably did it on purpose so the news media would think she was on the team.
Exactly.
And then when she left or apparently got fired, they could make a lot of noise, all to give her attention, so that the media would cover her story. Otherwise, she got no coverage.
Yeah.
She was on the Twitter world or the YouTube world.
Hey, Capita Varoki. He said, "How you only got 11 people in the chat? What's going on?" Hey, this information ain't for everybody.
That's right. This is dangerous. This is a revolution.
It's a revolution.
It's a terrorist operation you're witnessing.
Hey, Bob.
We are worse than ISIS.
Bob, I want to talk to you about something because
now look at what. Let's deal. What you sipping? You see,
wine.
I'm talking categories, which once you understand me is easy to understand. But you can understand if you've never heard these categories, you think I'm talking a different language, and I'm saying it fast, and so it looks like I'm on a drug. I tell you, I've never taken any drugs other than my enemies spiked me occasionally, but I survived those drugs. Anyways, back to we're talking about what? The Sidney Powell. So Wednesday night, she puts her claim in court, her charge, or whatever the language is for this chemical body operation of dealing with old, obsolete, literate-based laws and about democracy, and the voters got ripped off. And she misspelled the title of her court submission. And so that became the big news. Sidney Powell, so stupid, she can't even spell district, but she did that on purpose to get media attention. And so you can criticize someone like New York Times says that she's an idiot. She didn't even write her documents properly. There's billions of people who don't like the New York Times and will start to look at her and see what she's doing and why she got the attention. You know, bad publicity is as effective as good publicity. Yeah, see, 100%. Because the chemical body rules, the morals and ethics of chemical body reality don't apply anymore. It's just attention getting. That's what you got to get. So Sidney Powell is
so that's the key.
In the court.
You want to just get attention. So basically what you're saying is we live in a world where, well, that makes sense because you look at people today in today's world on social media, they're doing the craziest shit, jumping off shit, landing on their face on a skateboard, falling off, breaking their leg, and they're getting 1 million views, they're getting attention, and next thing you know, they're a superstar. So that's the same thing you think about media, the politics. It's like, who can get the most attention? Is that kind of like, and that's a fucked up society that we're living in. Is like,
no, it's not. It's not fucked up, but it's called the economy was based on attention span or attention getting things. That was a term like 20 years ago when the internet started. It's not fucked up. It's what happens when it's everybody is participating. Here comes everybody. James Joyce said, and fitting his way. Everybody is broadcasting. Nobody's really listening, pretending to listen for a few minutes till they get a larger audience. And that huge democracy, it's rare to get huge attention. But people who believe in a chemical body reality, they say, well, whose chemical body is getting fucked the most, is eating the most, has the most cocaine and all that stuff, that they're using their chemical body, their internet chip body fame to satisfy chemical body urges and desires. And they become, and they say, wow, I'd love to be like that. And have a couple of years of excess of abundance. But you'll see every one of those people who become a superstar collapse or
Yep.
complain, it's not enough to get chemical body attention. You still have to go into the chip body 24/7 to keep up with what's going
To keep
on.
up. Exactly.
And that's the real wealth. If you have, and millions of people have this stuff all over the world, their smartphone, cell phone, or computer, they're engaging in the most amazing utopia of titillation and distraction and interesting talk and entertainment than ever happened. So there's nothing to complain about first. Never say anything negative about what's going on. This is the most beautiful, incredible thing. Now, if you're on, let's say, what's a bad situation the chemical body thinks? Usually they like to think.
COVID. Back to bad situation. If you.
So I'm in a lockdown.
Yeah.
Okay. I got to stay home. And now, if you're lucky, you find out about our products and you get over that.
Hold on, wait, Bob, I have to stop you real fast. Somebody just came in, and I love them. People ask questions. They said chip body versus chemical body. Slow it down for us. So, Bob, I said you were saying chemical body a lot, but I don't think people knew what chemical. I know what it is, but please break down the chip body versus the chemical body. That's right now. Can you just break that down? Chip body versus chemical body. What is a chip body, Bob?
First of all, here's the chemical body. There's the chemical body. This thing over here that's not on the chip landscape, that's not on the chip technology, it's over here. I go to the bathroom. I go to the kitchen. I do physical body operations. And now I step into the chip landscape. And the chip body, this is something that's not a chemical body you're looking at.
Fuck, that was great.
I can order you if we had a certain.
Great. That was great. I gotta go. Oh, God damn. Bob, what you just did when you left and you said that was your chemical body and you came back and you came and said chip body and I know you were talking to me, that's strong. Put that on again.
Very good. Okay.
That was really good, Bob. Okay.
Stop distracting me with your studio hyper 21st technology. I'm making a chemical body point here. So
that was good though. I really understood what you went, you went, but that was good. That was good.
Now I can have a
Dickie Dobbs
relationship.
said, "Show him the bush."
Show them the bush. Well, we'll get to that. Yes.
No.
So you're gonna have to pay for that one. But the thing is,
somebody said legendary explanation, Bob.
Thank you.
That was a great fucking explanation. That was great how you did
Even Dick's laughing.
That was good. That was good. I didn't know what the fuck you were doing when you left the screen. I'm like, what is he doing? But okay, it makes sense.
So the message is, if I had a certain relationship with you, I could order you to send me stuff. Send me a car. Send me some food. You know, UPS or the airplanes get here in a day. I can organize chemical body operations through the chip body. But I also can enjoy myself by flipping you off and going over listening to Frank Zappa, new movie released today. Frank Zappa.
Yeah.
A great documentary. And I watched the first 8 minutes of it. It was so fantastic, I had to stop and catch my breath. He has me. I've never caught my breath before. I don't even
Bob,
use
is
the
that
word.
because you love Zappa, you spend time with Zappa? Like when I visited you, you showed me, like you went to you showed me some videos of you and Frank Zappa that for me, I never knew who Frank Zappa was, and I'm going on iTunes and Apple, and I see he's just an amazing artist. And when you let me stay at your crib and the other house, and we're there, and you're like showing me these archives of you and Frank Zappa and you and Marshall McLuhan and you, all these amazing philosophers. It's really a testament to say the amount of information that you have. And that's one of the things that I want to just kind of get into and say I'm super thankful that you're able to join us every other 2 Fridays, because I've seen with my own eyes you with some of the greatest people of our time.
Yeah.
So, okay, I just wanted to state that out. So let's keep it going.
And I also influenced those great people in my private talkings with them. Anyways, so we're explaining the wealth of the chip body world. I'm right in right now with you, and it's way beyond any physical concerns. And we could stay on here for hours, and people could participate, and we'd stimulate them like a long drug trip. That's a totally different situation to people who live on 100 years ago lived on farms, and they didn't even have a telephone. I mean, what did they do? They had some kind of social rituals. Maybe they go to the little local general store and talk. Humans communicate. They always have, that's their basic fact. What's a human? Something that communicates. That's the basic thing. And we communicate many sensory modalities. So we now have a hyper communication, and now we push it to such an extreme that communication, human communication itself, is running our society. Not
yeah, for
our
sure.
communication.
Rewind that. Human communication itself is running our society. I believe that statement is so strong because people are reacting to the communication of everybody else. That shows you that human communication is running society, because I could wake up and I could watch something of people communicating, and that could then maybe run my world when I wake up, or when I'm and we've never lived in a world like that ever. And it's so crazy that we're talking about this now. Okay.
It can run your world. How's it run your world? You get so involved watching an Oprah Winfrey flashback that you forget to get the bus to get to work. Then you're in trouble at work because you showed up late. People are forgetting all kinds of things. This was actually a joke by Jules Pfeiffer, the famous cartoons for the Village Voice. He did this great cartoon, I think it was in the 80s, of how people were forgetting a lot of their functions. They were forgetting to have a family. They were forgetting to be faithful to one person. They were forgetting not to take drugs or to do this and that, because they got carried away by the TV body and forgot the chemical body rules that everybody lived by. And that explains why it even got worse with the chip body. There's no problem. Like COVID is probably a product of excessive Black Mirror using. And it might have been a reaction by the subconscious brain to these idiotic people with their different campaigns like Black Lives Matter or white supremacy, whatever the stupid campaign is. And when you use this amazing media for stupid chemical body purposes, you get subconscious resistance, so you create a disease. So I just made an instant theory of where COVID came from. And it happened when the market crashed in 2008. And there was a period a couple of years before called subprime mortgages. And the guys were so ecstatic with the chip body economy, the banks, that they were lending money to everybody, even though their chemical body didn't have any backing to support it. And so eventually the general population became aware of this, and they said, we're not taking this, we're stopping it. So they collapsed the global economy in September 2008. See, how do we know that our minds and thoughts and words aren't affecting us way more than we assume? Now, that knowledge of how much your words affect you is lost in this world where I can get imagery and music and digital information beyond the word constantly and just live that way. I remember back in the 50s, 60s, banks were very quiet places. You'd walk in, you'd deal with the bank clerk, and it became quite startling by the 80s. The clerks had the radio on in the background. It was low, but you could never have a radio in the bank in the 40s and 50s that violated people's sense of visual space. But it became so much. People were so involved democratically, post-fascist, post-communist, supreme anarchy of enjoying all kinds of cable TV stuff in the 80s, that when they went to their simple little chemical body job, which was like being a monk for 7 or 8 hours, you needed some electric background, and the bosses and the unions couldn't stop it. They had to have radio on in the background, and that's a radical change. Now,
so Bob, go ahead. So that's almost like now when you're at a job, everybody's on their fucking cell phone. You never would be able to go to a job and like you're looking at. Well, I've never had a job in my life, but now you see that you go to a job and it's like I go to McDonald's. I'm like, yo, where my fries at? You on your cell phone? I ordered medium fry and a milkshake. And you gave me a burger with nuggets, but you on your cell phone. So it shows you how technology
disembodied you.
Yes, has embodied you.
And added a new kind of body. Now, I remember when the internet came in, say from 1996 to 2005, people in regular corporate jobs, their computers were blocked. They couldn't get online. They only used the computers for the corporation's purposes. But by the time of social media, and where you had the whole thing not on the corporation computer that you're using in the bank, you had your own little computer on your phone that couldn't be controlled. And so people are there at work and they're texting and doing all this stuff, which you look at rules for jobs in the 19th century. You weren't allowed to talk to anybody on the job. You couldn't even talk. And it was a revolution in the 30s when they brought in the coffee machine and people could go over and get a coffee and talk a little bit. That was
Ah, so that's where you would talk. You would go to the copy machine and have like, yo, what's up? What's up? What you doing? What you doing?
Yeah. Did you see? did you hear Jack Benny last night? Did you hear Louis Armstrong and his new album and his amazing music? You're talking about all this outside.
Hey, so Bob, that's crazy because at the copy machine was where people were able to copy information. So it's like, I'm gonna go to the copy machine and talk to my coworker and say, yo,
but I'm saying Louis Armstrong? Jack. COFFEE, coffee machines in the 30s.
I thought you said copy. Coffee. But that's it. Okay, so Kappa, I don't know. Hey, how do you pronounce your name, bro? Kappa Tivaraki. He said coffee machine was the lunchroom for adults. And that's true. 100 years ago. Yeah. Exactly. So
and now you go to the coffee machine. You can't talk to anybody because they're looking at their black mirror, texting somebody. They're not in the office. They look like they're in the office, but they're
not there. Yeah, that's crazy.
That creates a different kind of alienation, a different kind of loneliness because people, their chemical body is still there as a reality that needs to be massaged, and it's there as a phantom pain. And so people, they get into a lot of mental and physical stress syndromes.
Yeah.
And they think it's caused by physical body diseases, physical body viruses. No, it's caused by the fact that nobody's talking anymore. They're too busy texting on their chip body.
Yeah. So Bob, I want to kind of I'm gonna get into something that we've talked about offline, that we talked about today offline, that you told me not to get into on this podcast, but I'm gonna talk about it. I don't care. I need to talk about it. But I want to ask you a question first before I get to that. And someone asked, Bob, talk on tattoos really quick. What is your thoughts on tattoos? Where did they start? Why is it becoming a thing? Like, what is your thoughts on tattoos? I know you have some type of, juxtaposable position on where tattoos came from. Can you break that down, please?
Yeah, these are not thoughts. These are the laws of that situation. These are the facts, the laws.
Oh, give me the law. Okay, thank you.
By the 80s, when people had cable TV and a lot of TV, they used to worry, holy shit, people watch TV 12 hours a day, where they used to in the 60s only watch 4 hours a day. But you couldn't stop people. They were watching all this great variety. But it was a passive situation. They weren't typing and interacting with anything. At best, they had a talk radio they could call into. All right? Talk to Rush Limbaugh or somebody. Anyways, they're passively getting, as McClinton said, tattooed with information. Their chemical body in their brains and the other parts of their mystery landscape, this strange thing we're really totally made up of, is being tattooed. Okay. The guy who started that fad, he was a singer in psychic TV in the 80s. And he was the first to put little studs into his dick or his balls or his nose in London. The band, look it up, psychic TV. Forget his name right now because the G just passed away within the last year. That guy, then he didn't know. He thought he had his little cult and people were worshiping him for that little idiotic thing to do, stick some tattoos on themselves. Only sailors did it before, so to speak. He didn't know that color TV would make the whole population want to imitate the TV effect of cable TV and tattoo their skin and their faces. Now, they didn't get into it until a new environment, this is a law, when a new environment comes in, the digital internet in the mid-90s, all that technology of the 80s becomes something they can notice. It's now no longer invisible in that you're democratically electronically. You say, oh, we were doing all that old cable TV. And so then people have phantom pain for that old media. So they want to tattoo themselves to remember the cable TV super tattoo that was happening to you. So everybody and his mother and grandmother starts tattooing themselves.
Got it. Well, Bob,
20 years ago.
I will say, that's funny that you, okay, go ahead.
You can say something, but I haven't finished.
Yeah. What I was going to say is you said the 90s, and I would get into like the 90s, 2000, when you start thinking about sports and entertainment, which, you need the TV body to see sports and entertainment. There's an athlete by the name of Allen Iverson. He was an athlete that had tons of tattoos. Because growing up in my world, my mom told me, Jack, if you get a tattoo below your wrist, you're not going to be able to get a job. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's going to hire you like that. But like you said, with technology, when people see tattoos on TV every day, it becomes like not a crazy thing. But I will say Allen Iverson.
Yeah, that's the consensus level. But the form of cable TV, tattooing your whole being constantly 24/7, That's what makes you want to get a tattoo, not because some star has it. You think it's a star, but everybody else is tattooing. It's like back in the 60s, kids, teenagers would go see their favorite band, and there were a lot of different bands because there was a lot of electric production, easier to make records. They'd go to the band, this special band, and they read the guy's lyrics or the woman's lyrics. They get there, there's 2,000 other people there. What the hell? Where are all these other people? It's not just for me. They didn't even know that they were sharing a simultaneous environment. They identified their chemical body as, I'm listening. No one else likes Leonard Cohen like I do. Leonard's going to really like me when I go, ask for his autograph. And then you're in a lineup for 2 days to talk to him, and you're shocked, but you're made aware. Holy shit, everybody is liking what I thought was only what I liked. So anyways, when you get into the chip body with the internet, that makes you aware of the tattooing factor of cable TV. But when you get into social media, the early phase of digital environment, Web 1.0, becomes an art form. It's obsolete. So you want to nostalgically have your chip body memorialized. So you take a little diamond or a little stud and you stick it in your nose, your cheek, your dick, your cunt. You add this little symbol. So that's the second fad, tattoos and stubs. And they came from the effect of the chip body. 2 phases of the chip body caused that. Now that's a social rule, law, and the only explanation for it. Okay, that's the one that's useful. You can communicate to other people. It's not E equals MC squared. It's not a mathematical formula. It's a statement of experience that everybody knows is valid because they've all had the same experience, but they don't know how to articulate it. I've just taught you how to explain. So when your mother told you you'll lose a job, she didn't know. No, you could have said, oh no, the meme is the message. Everybody's going to be tattooing. You'll have to have a tattoo.
Yeah, you're going to have a tattoo. Exactly. And that's the funny thing, Bob. Like now for me being a CEO, and hiring, right? When I look to someone that I want to be hire to help design or help whatever, I look at the way they're dressed. I look if they're cool. And if they have a tattoo, I'd be like, instead of me being like, nope, I'm not hiring, I'm like, they might be kind of dope. Let me see more about this person. And it's funny because back then you're like, you got a tattoo, I'm not fucking with you. But now I'm a 35-year-old CEO, and if someone has a tattoo, that makes me want to talk to them even more because I feel like they're more like me. And it's a funny statement that you said. When I was a kid, my mom, told me don't get nothing under your below your wrist, but there was no technology then. Now it's like, I'm not saying that when you have a tattoo, you're cool. I didn't get tattoos to be cool. I got tattoos. I'll break down tattoos. This is a funny story. The only reason why I probably have so many tattoos on my body is because my best friend, Darrell Wright, when he got drafted to the Miami Heat, I played basketball at University of Miami, and he would always have this tattoo guy come to his house. Mind you, I'm in college. I don't got no money. I can't afford shit. But that's my best friend that I grew up with, went to prep school. He's like, yo, tattoo artist coming to the crib, come over. In my mind, I'm like, shit, I can get tattoos. I'm playing in college. Like, the tats is like, $1,000 a tat, and I'm getting them for free. So I'm getting tattoos on my body every other week for free. And I'm like, holy shit. Every tattoo I get, I'm like, man, my mom is going to kill me. But at the time in 2005, 2009, like tattoos, that was the shit to get. Darrell, when I met Darrell, he had tattoos on his fucking fingers. I'm like, oh, this dude is different. But, he grew up different than me. He grew up Los Angeles, California, hand tats and Mr. Cartoon. That was the wave. So it's funny how, like you said, media or what you're involved in or what you have access to will sometimes dictate what you do, because I always loved tattoos, but the fact that my best friend was able to have a tattoo artist come over that was probably the best, in the country at that time, and I could come over and get them for free. I'm like, hell yeah, give me whatever I can get. I got to get as many tats as I can.
Now that's your story. There's a million, 20, 100 million other stories at the same time because the technology of giving tattoos is easier to do and people can find a tattoo is easier.
Yep.
The environmental effect is really what's making them all want to get a tattoo, but you took your chemical body, which is normal consciousness, and took its factors. Oh, I like this guy. He's got neat things. I want that. You didn't know that 20 other people could have shown up and say, I got one too, Jack.
Yeah.
So it's spreading beyond what the human even can think. That's where we're at. That's why in college they even talk about the post-human society. The things that we experience that come into our life you don't know what they came from or the technology that made them that allowed it to happen. I don't understand this technology we're on right now. I don't know the details. If it broke, I wouldn't know how to fix it. So this is, there's been so many technologies over the last 100 years that we haven't been able to keep up. I remember I met different people in, say, 2005, and they were experts on computers in 1995. They were into the internet when it first came, and they knew all about computers. They took the courses, and after about 8 years, they gave up. They couldn't keep up. And so they were back in my condition. They didn't know what was going on anymore technologically. They didn't know how these things were made. So I just remained in a way above it or beside it, and I'm not learning anything because it's going to change. And then that evolved me right into being in the middle of everything, and I'm the most informed person. Yet I'm the most ignorant in terms of the technology we live in, of how it's made efficiently.
So, all right. I appreciate the tattoo breakdown. Cap, I mean, I'm forgetting your name again. I'm just going to call you Cap K. So, Bob, something we talked about offline that I know you don't want me to bring up, but I'm going to bring it up.
I can't imagine what that'd be. You're used to
I know, but I'm going to bring it up right now. So one thing.
Look at Dick's laugh. He knows you're lying.
I'm not lying, but check this out. And you might listen, Bob. We talked offline, and it was about the vaccine. You know, for me, you know, I like to be ahead and know what's going on. And we've had plenty of side conversations. You told me conversations before this election started.
Everybody, no matter how educated they are, is in that boat. They all have to know what's going on. That's why
exactly.
They keep looking at the black mirror.
Exactly. Okay. So that's why I'm going to bring this up.
So you're a dumb person like everybody else trying to know what's going on. And you can't know what's going on unless you understand the meaning of the message and these basic
but I got access to you. I got access to you, Bob. I know what's going on because I could call you or I could ask you and you would tell me what's going on like you did with this. And I had a question about the vaccine. I say, Bob, it's crazy, you know, they're talking about this vaccine that's coming out, but it's wild to hear a vaccine is coming out when we really don't know what the COVID really is. And you said you talked to some of your people, you know, insider information. We're not going to talk about where that comes from. And you said they were testing the vaccine in other countries. You know, and I will say a country. You said they were trying it in Africa. You said they were testing the vaccine on people in Africa, and people were having horrific effects. Can you speak about this vaccine testing that they're having and the effect that this vaccine is having, and why people aren't hearing about this?
Well, there's a million reasons. Half the people don't even know they have a body to be vaccinated. As long as they think if they wear a mask, then they're safe. And a mask doesn't prevent the virus is always mutating. It takes different forms. It enters you differently. So the mask thing, it should be put aside and a new form of protection, like don't touch your cell phone. Can you imagine if you were told that the virus that's happening right now and killing everybody today or really making them sick came through their cell phone? What a dilemma people would have. They've got to use the cell phone. It's part of their body. And yet they're told that's how the virus gets to you. Oh, man, that's a tough one for people to figure out or how to adjust to. So basically, because the virus is changing you and creating new antibodies in you, the new vaccination that they're coming up with will interact with the antibodies that you developed trying to get immune from COVID-19 and COVID-20. The vaccination and its constituents, chemical constituents, will interact with your antibodies and you'll die within a few weeks. So the vaccination is going to kill a lot of people. Now, I'm not saying that as a warning. I'm saying it because I'm insane and I'm fucking crazy and I can't back up anything I say. That's why I'm telling you this.
Okay, so Bob, how did you know that they were testing the vaccine?
That might be a disclaimer. Maybe not. But the point is, we don't even know how much you can say about the new vaccine. I don't know if it's dangerous to say what I say, but I'm saying if you were me, do not take the vaccination. But don't trust me. I'm just an old geezer. In 2 years, I'll be 100 years old.
Yeah, I know. It's like you're 98, you're about to be 100, but that's why I'm going to listen to you because at the end of the day, why are they choosing? I mean, why Africa and these things why are they testing it there? There could be, you know, they could be testing it anywhere. Why do you believe that they're testing it in Africa?
Nobody knows. They were showing little kids, little black kids, and maybe you could say most of the world hates black people, so they don't care if a little black baby is killed. You know, but you can't gauge what is racism and not. Americans cooperate on so many levels with their multiple bodies that that's why, you know, the right wing says we're not racist. So how do we be racist? Now, maybe they're going to object to saying, yes, you guys worked for our society for 300 years. We owe each one of you $1 million. A lot of people can't get that because they live in the present. They don't know what happened in the past, what they think is the past, and they're not going to deal with it. They're going to deal with the present. And the present is Mr. Black Man or a white man. You have this job. You cooperate with me, and we have a good job. And we keep our jobs here. So don't bring up your chemical body to me, sir. Just pay attention to the job you have to do right now, or you'll be kicked out and forgotten.
Got it.
Another thing. There's a huge impersonality running the society on government levels of chip body. Job, it says in the Bible, in simple terms, can have a job if they don't have the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is the chip body, is the digital world that you need to get email to go do something for somebody to get paid for. So that's your mark of the beast. So we're all inside the mark of the beast right now. And
you got to have it.
How much are you going to take that? How much are you going to drop out of that? How much can you? And see, nobody can be the old-fashioned chemical body moral or patriotic or brave, all those chemical body super qualities that humans celebrate. You can't be that today in most of the chip body activities you live in.
Got it. Got it. So, Bob, I got a question for you.
Now, that would explain why people get into Satanism. They take these old literate concepts of crazy fringe religions, and because it doesn't matter anymore, they become a Satanist because you can't be evil. So it's bullshit, but it has an attraction for a simple mind that thinks it's charismatic to do that, and you're not being a Catholic.
And that's what I want to talk about.
What?
I want to talk about the printing press, because you wouldn't know what a devil is or Satan is or anything is until the printing press was invented, and someone could either say, hey, Satan is a devil that will do this, or someone could draw a picture that say this is what the devil is. Because without the printing press, you would have no visual representation of what anything was. So my question to you is, the people or the ones that created the printing press, why Satan to be like this demon or this thing? Why was this created to make people go far away from who they truly are and knowing themselves and knowing they have the power to be like the biggest thing ever? But the printing press brung this thing that created this image, and now people are scared. They're living in fear. We're all living in fear now again. I wouldn't say it's a printing press, but the media is the new age printing press. You look on the news, look in your social media, 100,000 deaths, black person gets killed, white cop gets shot. It's like you don't see new stuff where 15-year-old kid starts business or kid gets acquired by a company for $5 million. This shit's happening, but you don't hear that positive stuff. All you hear in the media is the negative effect. And that seems from the printing press, there was a lot of negative stuff out of the printing press and positive stuff. So tell me why the printing press was created, and why create this image to put people in fear?
Every new technology, starting with speech, creates a new realm of human experience. The basic apparatus of human is it has an appetite for new, interesting experience through the senses. So every technology that came along extended our senses and was a novelty. So the book added to your visual life. I could read a book, just like I look out here, and I live in a village, and I get a book. I can use my mind, imagination, but I also turn the pages and I see a different experience than if I'm sitting there talking to the guy at the local horseshoe maker, and he's just to tell me the same old stories about the stupid horses he has to deal with. The content is limited. So every new technology, from the printing press, you begin with speech, but you start with the printing press, 500 years of new extensions of industrial technology, created new realms of sensory experience, satisfied the sensory appetite for new experience. So every technology, this is the basic law, will make new desires and new appetites of your basic human desire of appetite. That's why we live. You get up in the morning to experience your senses. In the 100%. Old days.
The only reason people do anything is for the feeling that it'll make them feel better. That's what our friend Dickie Dobbs says.
Not to feel better. They can't stop the body waking up and demanding food for hunger and to walk around in the air. So that basic sensory appetite that your consciousness has, regardless of who you are, that got extended in the book, extension of the eye, the radio extension of the ear, the television extension of your inner mind, the central nervous system, and then the digital. That's a basic extension of human ESP. You are able to interact with people over distance and talk and respond as if you had ESP.
Got
it's
it,
a
Bob. I want to
technological
break
advancement.
down. I don't want to cut you off, but when I hear you say good things, I know my following. We talk about ESP a lot, and ESP is a form of communication, and we've talked several times about that we don't live in a literate society, right? So we're talking about ESP. I want you to break down what ESP is for people, and break down where, you know, everybody's going to school thinking they got an education, but we live in you don't need to be literate to live in this new world. You can go on TikTok and make a dance. For example, the guy that did that used the dun 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 Fleetwood Mac song on the fucking skateboard with the cranberry juice. He does a TikTok video with that song. Next thing you know, 2 weeks later, he has a fucking partnership with Ocean Spray cranberry juice. He didn't have to know how to do anything. All he did was take a video of this song on a skateboard with the cranberry juice, drinking it. Next thing you know, 2 weeks later, he has a deal with one of the biggest cranberry juice companies in the world. So that's a fine example of, it's not about going to school and being literate. It's about taking your power and being yourself and not trying to get anything from it. Just being happy. And look what happens. So could you talk about that?
Chemical body rules on it. Just know that humans need so much a new digital experience that everybody's a candidate to be a star or to provide something like your example. And therefore, it's economically incredibly democratic. Anybody can become a millionaire. Now, that's way beyond. If you start emphasizing your race, or that you are a black person or a white person or a purple person and anything else about what gender you are, you're going to fuck yourself up. You're cutting yourself off from the opportunities of the chip landscape, like you just cited, by emphasizing your ridiculous, anemic, sideline chemical body and its characteristics. So in this show, we're starting a political movement that has nothing to do with politics. All it is explaining what's happening. And then you'll get clearer about your situation, and you won't be having silly conversations about non-existent issues other than you're forced to if you're at work. But just keep your mouth shut. Don't tell them the facts. Get them aside. Get them drunk. Then tell them these things.
Yeah.
So Bob,
my question is now, I mean, I have friends, I have people, you know, I get on social media a lot of times just to like.
Somebody say, oh, captive but a cork eye. Wow, okay, that's why everybody got a phone. Laughing my ass off. See, when you're learning, you're laughing. Humor and learning go together.
Yeah. So Bob,
okay, you were saying.
I want to, I want to speak on something. We live in a world today, like you said, anybody can be a.
So you understand the appetite of every new medium. It can't be stopped. Every kid wants to get whatever their kids or their neighbors are getting. They want to enjoy it and expand their senses, because communication is basically an appetite.
100%. Communication is that you want more of it. 100%. And I will say this, Bob. That's funny that you said communication is an appetite, because, you know, first it started with a Nokia cell phone. They had this game called Snake, right? Where you can play this game, and on a Nokia phone you can make a text message, right? And then from the Nokia phone birthed this new thing called a T-Mobile Sidekick, right? And it was a thing where you can flip up and you can communicate through AOL chat, where you can literally go on AOL chat and you can communicate with people like nonstop. And like, you literally, when you make this communication, like you said, this tactile thing, I communicate. When I let go, I'm waiting for this person to respond so I can get back and communicate again. And with AOL and World Wide Web, it's like people are urging for this thing to be engaged and to communicate, and always want to jump in, jump out, jump in, jump out, jump in, jump out. But I feel like a lot of people, I mean, without your knowledge, I'm able to know I can jump in and jump out, and know that this tech body or this big tech thing is really the one that's running this shit. Your phone and what you're engaging in.
Use the word stomach. If you know that your appetite or stomach is requiring data, then it's just like a baby. He learns to eat, but he eventually realizes, well, I don't keep eating because I'll get sick. So you learn to balance your digital stomach by knowing it's an illusion almost, but a very real, demanding illusion, but you don't have to get stuck in it. Now you're going to binge for a while and interact, and you never know when you send someone an email what they're going to say back. So it's always a novelty what they're going to say next to what you said. And that can take up 10 hours. That's a great experience. But then how do you detach yourself from it? And how is the society detached from it? It can't. So we got to recognize and change the terms about our new reality we live in.
Yeah. So, Bob, I want to use the time. We probably have about like 15, 20 more minutes left. This has been a great show. We've had a very steady amount of a lot of people on here coming in, people asking questions. I want to take the next 5 minutes
Now
to
look
anybody
at
that's tuned in.
Captain Kavorka. He says AOL Messenger was a game changer.
It
Well,
was.
how was it
It was.
a game changer? I'm explaining how it brought in the tech bot. The chip
Explain
bot.
why AOL. Do you know what AOL Messenger was, Bob? You're 98 because so you might have been like 88. You might have been 78 when AOL came out, and you're old as shit. You might not know what that is. So
No, I do.
AOL was basically another way to communicate besides text messaging. You would create an online name, and you would be on this multiverse of AOL. Everybody and their mom had an AOL name, and you could literally find somebody in AOL and talk to them in this chat. Jay Valentine, shout out my brother Jay Valentine. Jay Valentine is one of the coldest artists, managers, creators in the game right now. OG, still around, still doing his thing. Jay Valentine cannot believe you're 98.
I'm 98.
Bob, he's 98
Don't
and he's a
use chemical
trillionaire, Jay.
knowledge.
You probably won't believe that either, but he's a trillionaire and he's 98. He ain't never sent me no money yet, but he's still a trillionaire.
You were mentioning AOL. In the late 90s, I met the guy who brought AOL public.
You met him?
Yeah, Mark Stallman. I've mentioned his name to you before. He brought.
Yeah, I know.
He was the part of the company that did the law work for it. You know, the legal arranging of AOL. And so we started a salon, and all these guys from that world came to our salon in 1998 for a couple of years because he knew the whole digital world. He got into it early in the 70s. So he knew Bill Gates before Bill Gates was famous. But anyways, you bring up, I certainly knew about AOL because I got to hear about it from the guy who
started the
retired from being the go-between between the companies that bought and sold it.
Got it. All right. So, okay, Bob.
So what's your question?
My question to you is, you know, everybody can't believe you're 98. Everybody can't believe none of these things. But I know because you've been on products. You've had access to something called the D cell, which reverses your aging. So I want to get to that. When you first told me about the D cell and that when you were introduced to it and it reverses the aging, I was like, man, get the fuck out of here. But then when you started showing me your archives of your age and when you started and it was, you know, 1920 and like all this, I'm like, holy shit. This motherfucker has you archived every year in your life. You literally have it archived from 1980, whatever, you have it. So I saw that. So to talk to my followers and the people that are on this live, tell me about when you got access to this D cell, which is the thing that reverses your aging. Like I said, I know this shit probably sounds like, man, Jack probably just saying anything, but I don't care. I mean, I know it's true. I've seen your house. I've been to your 20-bedroom second house. I've seen it. I've seen your 100,000 square foot, whatever. So I'm not going to get into that. But what I'm going to say is, why do you get access to the D cell? How come I didn't meet the person that started this thing that reverses aging? Does it have to do with something with your frequency or your energy or how you think? Break that down, please.
It could be the mystical frequency, but to put it in practical terms, because I worked in the deepest intelligence organization, we had to know what new technologies were being made because they could threaten the power structure. And we knew the medium was the message. So from the 50s on, I was in the Secret Council of 10 and what I called the solar government, because we were building the satellite Sputnik reality that surrounded the globe in the 60s. So we were tuned into that technology. So I was always looking at fringe things. I'd go to a newsstand, look for the strangest looking magazine, not Time magazine or Life. I'd go to the strangest thing and say, what's this about? And I then might call up the person. Well, I found someone in 68 that channeled something called cosmic awareness. So I got the newsletter and they started talking about something called the D cell. So they said this will purify your water, and people were worried about polluted water back then, and well, smart people were, and it will enhance your energy and all this stuff. So I bought one. So I get in the mail a little chunk of cement, a little cube, and you put it in your bottle of water, and you kept the bottom half always there, and the top half you change once you drank it. So you drink down half of it, then fill it up again, and the bottom half had the little chunk of cement in it. It would energize the top half as you put it in and drank it. So pretty quickly, we noticed our energy changed. Maybe we looked more vibrant. We did notice this stupid little chunk of cement had an effect on me and Carolyn. So in
Mm-hmm.
March 1970, I was out in Seattle where Cosmic Awareness was and had the newsletter that told me about the D-cell. And we went down to Los Angeles and met Joe Dunn Sloan, the guy who made the D-cell. And it was not many people in the world knew about it. So we stayed in touch with Joe Dunn Sloan from that point on and got more and more D-cells. He actually gave us 25 little chunks of cement, maybe for $1 each in 1970, say. We take it back to Nova Scotia, that's where we were living at that time, and we use a D-cell, but I mean, once a year. After a year, it kind of get worn out. Now, ideally, if you were in California, you could take the little chunk of cement, put it out in the sun for a couple of days, it would re-energize it. But in Nova Scotia, there wasn't sun like California, so it wasn't as constant. So we let it run for about a year and then just use the next one. So we lived on the D-cell for 25 years, 25 little blocks. It cost us $25, and we became basically eternal because of that technology.
I mean, look,
and
you're fucking 98 now.
What?
So the D cells stop you from aging. It doesn't allow you to. It's not like Benjamin Button where you get younger. It just stops you from like being old. I mean, I'm looking at you right now.
In 69.
Yeah, you're 47.
So
you
I've
look 47 right now.
Like
that makes
40s.
sense.
Yeah.
So it goes to when you take it. So if you take it at 47, you may continue to look. So
now some people got older people, 60, 70 years. They got younger sometimes. It was all kinds of different effects, just like our products are so powerful. You have different effects on people, all beneficial.
Yeah.
So the D-cell was like that. And so Joe Dunn Sloan gave the formula to Carolyn in April 22nd, 1991. And we had a medium called the Evergreens, channeled through Michael Blake Reed. And we learned in 2003 and 4 what they said about the D-cell. So we tried to make it. Joe Dunn Sloan had died in 93. It turned out his widow carried on the manufacturing, his divorced widow. So we knew about that. We were getting the D-cell from her, but we wanted to make it ourselves. We never pulled it off until we met our new source, Ion, and he showed us how to take it from a little block and make a 400-pound block, and we're going to regrow the desert in the Middle East with this thing.
So basically what you're going to do, you figure out a way to now replicate the D-cell, and I don't know what year, but you guys will be bringing this new product out to the public that you claim will stop aging. And well, you took it. I mean, you're 98. You're 98, and you look, like you said, you look 47, 50, and you took it back in this when you were 47. So I want to talk to you about. My hair was
grayer than this. My hair is slowly getting brown.
It is. It looks. It is. It's crazy. So, Bob, I want to talk to you now. I want to get to another segment of our show. I mean, this is probably the final segment. The segment that I like the most is getting into your mind, right? Because to get into your mind and get to know you is almost like detaching yourself from everything that you've learned your whole life. I'm 35. I learned so many things, but meeting someone like you, I hear so much off the wall shit. But I'm not. But I accept it, and I fact check, and I'm saying everything this man said came true. So I want to get to the point now, and I want to talk to you. One of the biggest things you've taught me in being an entrepreneur and a CEO and trying to run my own company and rule and reign my world, you and your brother Dickie Dobbs, is understanding and knowing how not to think, right? You know, we live in a world where you think you got to think so many thoughts to do so many things, right? So tell me about how you are able to use your mind not to think, which elevates you and catapults you to become the status you are, to become this trillionaire, which, you know, people will probably say, yo, I'm fucking lying. But like I said, I've been to your second 20-bedroom house, your $100,000 square foot warehouse. So how do you block your mind to block and merge and not think to get you into this position of knowing and to put you and catapult you to the status where you are now?
So I start with these thoughts. So I'm going to think my way out of the dilemma at the beginning. I started off. So I realized that the medium is the message. So most thinking about social chemical body issues can be wrapped up and simplified by knowing the laws of media, as I've been explaining. And I update McLuhan's laws of media to the 5-body model. So you ask me a question, I go automatic. I just go into my formula and give an answer. And no one's ever heard the answer before, usually. until we started being on the show. But most 99% of humanity doesn't know this stuff. And so if you hear it and you say, I don't have to think and say, well, that left wingers say this, right wingers say that, that sociologist says this. Nah, which one is more? So you're all preoccupied trying to sort out which is the best thought. Well, if you use my thought about the laws of media, that erases a lot of extra thinking. So now you become slower thinking, less thinking. Now,
slows down.
You'll notice that because you kind of have an answer for your social interactions, you know, well, just on a form, you're asked your opinion, you explain the law of media, real easy to type it out when you understand it, doesn't take nothing. That guy goes, wow, I never heard of that before. And then they type away all their reactions. You just sit back and watch them try to figure out what you meant. So that relaxes that. And then therefore you're not, and the second point is, in this information society, any major news story, like you're going to get nuked in Arizona in 15 minutes, you expect the authorities to tell you that. They're not going to tell you a serious story like that or a serious alert because it wakes too many people up and you got panic and you got traffic jams and nobody can get out of Arizona. So the point is that the news that you're looking at to find out what in your paranoid state is going to save you, you got to know what's happening. They'll never tell you what's really important for you to know.
What's really happening.
So
exactly.
You don't need to watch the news on the survival level. Forget the news. They're never going to tell you. Now you got to figure out other ways to figure out what's going on. Maybe you'll
that's here on this show.
Yeah,
you hear that every other Friday.
You're lucky. So so that diminishes. There's Nadia.
Hey Nadia. Shout out Nadia. Shout out Running the Wrong Way.
This is your sister-in-law.
Shout out Nadia.
Right? Sister-in-law.
Yeah. Sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Yep.
Former lover of Denzel Washington's son. Oh man. And that's how Denzel Washington found out about me. And that's why Morgan Freeman did the story on Whack Job Science, because he found out about me through Nadia.
Yeah, shout out Nadia. We're not going to go deep into that, but yeah,
He's
you're right.
famous in her little world, her little tiny slot of chemical body.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so
she's doing a great job right now with her story. Shout out Nadia and Renner Runway.
Right. So I'm thinking less. And I'm enjoying my thinking because as I hear this noise of stupid thoughts by people, incomplete, getting nowhere thinking, I get the joy. Well, I know the answer to that. So I have the ecstasy of good thoughts or accurate thoughts. So that's a pleasure. So I enjoy my thinking. It becomes less a problem. So I start thinking all kinds of things. And yet I'm indifferent to the outcome because I know I'm never going to get to a thought that wraps everything up completely. I'm never going to complete the
So Bob, you never want to get a thought that becomes the completement of what you're thinking about. So if you have a thought about who's going to win the basketball game, you never want to get to the thought that says this team's going to win, because now you've stopped the thought. You keep the thought wide open where it's just, you let the thought just be what it's going to be. So you never allow your mind to come to a conclusion, basically. You have a bunch of hypotheses.
Yeah. And I don't care. I don't care whether my team or my bet works, because that's just going to be chemical body abundance. I still got to engage my chip body regardless of how wealthy I am. I mean, you've had famous players. You think these famous players wouldn't be listening to us? They'd be off doing something in Maui and have a nice scene going on or a good party. No. Yeah. That's the chemical body. That's sort of minor, those urges and appetites. But they got to be on here to see what's happening in the chip body.
For sure.
So that's the bigger wealth. And no matter what you are in your chemical body terms, you will have to engage the chip body to have a sense that you're participating in the reality that is supersedes your chemical body.
For sure. And somebody said dreamer lifestyle, right? And I would say that my definition of a dreamer lifestyle is not to be thrown off by what you see, and makes you think, I can't do this, or I can't, what you hear. Exactly. When you're a dreamer, you have this tunnel vision where it's like, I don't give a fuck what I see. I don't give a fuck what I hear. I'm going to continue to follow this dream that I have. And I'm not going to think about what these others are telling me or seeing, because only I can see my dream. You know, and that's a prime example of myself. Like, I remember when I stopped playing basketball, you know, the third year, and people were like, yo, why you stop playing basketball? Are you jumping into clothes and you don't know what you're doing? But they didn't see the vision, you know, that I had the whole time. And that's like, I wasn't thinking about how I was going to get to this position where I'm at, right? but I knew that I could get there, and I didn't think about how I was going to get there. And that's a prime example of how you live. It's like you don't allow your thoughts to make you go all the way to a situation where you made your final decision. Because like you said, on social media, you don't have what?
I say you're going to get rid of your dreams. There's usually based on some kind of chemical body faculty or operation. The thing is, you're a young person, you're 20, and you're doing Zoom in university, let's say. It's really stupid and boring. You're not really learning in chemical body terms. So you've got this aggravation. So you say, I'm quitting the scene here, and I'm going to get a job somewhere so I can survive, because I don't want to go live with my parents. Or you might go live with your parents for a while, but then you're going to get economics. So the main concern of young people is, how the hell am I going to make some money? So you look around, you don't look for status. Okay, if I do that, if I get to be a basketball player, I then later can be a great businessman based on my basketball experience. So I'll work towards that. You have a dream. Don't fucking have a dream. Take any job that gets you, because they're going to get more and more scarce. So take any job, but then understand, okay, I take a few hours to enjoy my chemical body in a work situation. And then I go home, and then I take Bob's products. And then I start having all these neat experiences. And then I turn on the chip body and watch whatever's there. And you realize, wow, I get all this other time and all this other experience, and the chemical body is minor. So I'm not going to worry about what happens to my chemical body, especially if you're on our products that make you feel it's food better than regular food. It satisfies you. The minerals are more powerful than the stupid food out there can give you. 100%. So you start relaxing, live like me, do my stuff, and your other part of your life, not just your chemical life, really blossoms. So that's the beginning, and that'll make you think less, and that'll make you not worry about where you're going to be in 10 years. You're not going to be anywhere where you think you're going to be in 10 years. You probably won't even be here. You might be on a spaceship going somewhere, or in a matrix virtual reality tunnel. All these things are going to happen rapidly. So 100%. There's nothing to focus on too much. Yeah. The only thing to focus on is to get your some kind of function where you get money. And the best way, often, like Jack did, you just do what you like, and then eventually some people bump into you and they like what you like to do, and they'll pay you for it. Now, if you can't get that right away, put up with the pain of a 9-to-5 job. What the hell? It's be gone in a couple of years. You'll be either sick, dead, or in a new situation that job led you to do that you never thought would happen. So always know that you never fail, and you can't get it wrong. There's the two main psychological motivating thoughts that you should have.
Repeat that, Bob. Repeat that one more time.
I can't remember.
You can never fail, and you can never
get it wrong. I can't remember what did you say?
Fail.
I never said that. Fuck
Ladies
that.
and gentlemen, you can never fail, and you can never get it wrong. And I think, Bob, that's where we're going to close today's show.
Yes,
I think we got
I got to get to the beach.
Now, we're going to get to the beach and swim 1,000 miles.
Remember what you said. What were those great thoughts? You never fail.
You never fail, and you can never get it done. So, no worries.
Very nice.
Never fail, never get it done. Never fail, never get it wrong.
Not never fail. You can't fail.
You can't fail, and you can't get it, and you can't get it done.
Never get it done.
So if you can't fail and never get it done, life should be blissful. Life should be non-thinking and knowing. We should live life more of THANK, of being thankful for.
You can't live that way, and this is a whole new topic.
Next week,
you can't live that way because the world is changing the frequency. You have to take our product to adapt to the world. It's going to make you feel very uncomfortable. So regardless
But wait. The world will continually be changing, but there will never be a situation as a human creator where you will not be able to find a situation where you can be thankful for.
No, that's too complicated. Do that.
It doesn't matter if the world is changing. I can always be thankful that I can wake up and eat some scrambled eggs. The world could be changing tomorrow and light's done. I can be thankful that I can sleep next to my girlfriend. So what I'm telling to the people out there, despite whatever's going on around you, never forget that there's one thing that you can be thankful for in the world that you're living in. This is Step Back with Jack. Thank you so much, Bob, for joining us again. I know you're going to go to the beach right now. You're going to swim probably like 15, 20 miles. And you're going to come back and you're probably going to sleep 3 hours tonight because you're going to read books and you're going to talk to, I'm not going to get into that, but once again, this is another episode of Step Back with Jack. And Bob, special edition. Thank you to everybody that's joined in. Bob, thank you once again for giving your time to give us this information. Tell Carolyn we say hello. We just ordered some new products. They should get here soon. And Bob, I can't wait to talk to you next week. Okay, go ahead.
I'll end with this thought, but I'm speaking it, which is more powerful than thinking it. Aging is the hardest thing for humans to do. Aging is the hardest thing for humans to do.
Yes, sir. All right, Bob. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye. Talk tomorrow. All right, bye. Bye.
I don't know how to get off this.
All you gotta do is push. All you gotta do is push the X. Yeah,
I don't believe that.
Sir.
I don't believe that.
Hey,
Oh,
Sky
look,
Goddess Sue.
Sky Goddess Sue. Thanks, Jack and Bob. We hope we made you.
Is that
we,
Sue
we,
Bone?
we killed a couple
Bone?
hours with Sue. Now
Bob,
she's by herself again. She's got to figure out what to do next. Her digital appetite. She'll go watch Scott Adams or Davey Dingbat. Am I still on?
Of course you're still on. You're still talking.
So turn off your digital body there, Sky Goddess, and just sit back and remember the good times you listened to me 30 years ago.
Hey guys, once again, the Step Back with Jack podcast with special guest Bob Dobbs. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. We'll be back in 2 more weeks.
Look at the healthy face. That's incredible.
He's 98. If we do this, guys, we'll be here all day. Once again, Bob, thank you so much.
Bob can't stop.
Bob can't stop. Get to the pool, get to the beach, get to where you're going. Thank you so much. Step Back with Jack podcast. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.